This conference will now be recorded.
Good day. This is Harold Watson, Committee Chair of the Housatonic Greenway Complete Streets Subcommittee. We're conducting this regular meeting on gotomeetings.com on Thursday, April 6, 2023 at 12 p.m. Quorum for this meeting is 6, and I will now call on the following elected members to speak up as present. Karen Burke.
Here.
Tom Dillon.
Present.
Ellen Frank is not here. Christopher Green. I'm sure he will be at some point. Nels.
Here.
Pearson. George Perrin.
Here.
Oh. Jennifer Sheldon.
Here.
James Simon. I know he's not here. Harold Watson. Sarah Graham. Sarah, good to see you. Brian Sturbis. Karen Rodia. Also, I'd like to welcome our town planner, Susmitha Atada, and Aileen Marsh, our recording secretary. Before I call the meeting, I'd like to remind everyone to raise their hand if they'd like to be recognized. Please identify yourself by name each time you speak. With that said, I call to order this regular monthly session of Stratford, Housatonic Greenway and Complete Streets Subcommittee of Planning. First item on our agenda, call to order, approval of minutes, special March 15, 2023 meeting. I'm a motion to accept. Second.
I make a motion, George.
I need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Second, Karen. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous?
Aye.
And I see that Christopher Green has joined us. Approval of meetings of, oh, we already did that, sorry. Greenway Complete Streets status. That is a report from Susmitha.
Hi, so we received only one bid for Complete Streets Phase 1 project. And from what I hear, the bid exceeded the budget amount. So I was trying to get in touch with MetroCog team who's administering the project to know what the next steps are going to be. Haven't yet gotten a lead on that, but I am sure they're working it out. And we have a meeting anyway next week when I will follow up with them. Now this bid is for Phase 1 in front of Town Hall from Harvey Place to Barham Avenue. We're also going to have a meeting on Phase 2, team meeting, just to discuss next steps on outreach and planning. So stay tuned. I will have more details next month at the Greenway meeting on what the public outreach plan is for Phase 2, which is from Barham Avenue all the way to Paradise Green.
So Smith, is it possible just to send a short memo to us if you hear anything significant next week?
I will. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. That's it for Greenway, correct?
Yeah, that's it for Greenway.
So the next one is planned Stratford discussion. Last time we met, I asked everybody to read up on the waterfront plan. I hope that people at least were able to take a look at it. But I know that Smith is moving forward with getting the draft done on the POCD. So I'm going to turn it over to her again.
So our consultants with FHI Studio have prepared drafts on the introduction chapter, the vision statement, goals and objectives for land use, housing, and historic and cultural resources. I just received a draft on mobility section yesterday, which I'm reviewing right now. But I was hoping that the Greenway section would have been completed by this meeting so I can share that chapter with you. But unfortunately, we have to wait until after the break. I think by May 1st, we are hoping to have one final, one initial draft prepared that includes all chapters. So I will share a meeting, share the link of the document with you all. You'll have up to 3 weeks to review and offer any feedback, not just on the Greenway section, but any of the other sections too, because you're all Stratford residents. I can share with you the vision statement that was prepared right now, which is close to final. Sorry, can I share my screen?
I will make you a presenter.
Thank you. So,
There you go.
all right. So here's the introduction chapter. No, I requested the consultants not to include any images or graphics yet because I wanted the content to be straightened up first, because it'll be harder to, input each time any changes that we want to be made to the text if they're already formatted graphically. But this is how the draft looks right now, and we have themes that have emerged from the vision statement. Those themes lead to goals for each chapter, and the goals would have objectives on why are we trying to do this, and strategies. So this is the vision statement. So I can read it out aloud for you in case you can't see it clearly on your screen. So it says the vision expressed by residents of Stratford at various meetings and events during the planning process is organized and
Can
presented.
you zoom your screen just a little bit?
Let me just try to do it.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Can you see now?
Better.
So we said, the themes are opportunity, community, partnerships, and resiliency. For opportunity, it's, to offer residents a bountiful life through an array of amenities, services, landscapes, and opportunities. Stratford's home to visually attractive, inclusive, healthy, and equitable communities and schools that are celebrated and embraced for their rich history and diverse residents with varying ages, cultures, and ethnicities. For community, we focused on the social, emotional, and physical health and promoting well-being through investments in infrastructure. And this is where the greenways come into play. Transportation, housing diversity, vibrant arts and entertainment, and adequate community services and educational opportunities. And also talking about the waterfront activities and the coastline, and how to make use of that to promote social, physical, and emotional health of residents. Partnerships, from what we heard from the community in all those events that we held for POCD, it's clear to us that people want us to maintain partnerships with the agencies that are invested in the well-being of Stratford. So Stratford would continue to thrive by fostering these partnerships and promoting stewardship of town resources through these efficient and effective partnerships. And then we talked about resiliency, how Stratford envisions to be a strong and resilient community in the face of natural hazards and also social and economic challenges like COVID-19 that we had to deal with 2 years ago. The community is self-sustained, responsive, adaptive, and engaged in implementing financially sustainable solutions that help mitigate future risks. And then we said, in the face of all of this, the one emerging common theme everywhere that we heard is to keep Stratford small, no matter what, and don't lose the small town charm and feel of the community. So we said Stratford envisions to continue to retain its small town charm while accommodating new growth and development in targeted areas that are harmonious with nearby existing developments, continuing to balance the need for new growth and development with conservation of natural environment, critical habitat, and environmental sensitive areas. So I think we touched on everything we heard in these 4 themes. And if you believe that something's missing, when I share the draft with you, please review, and we'd be happy to make those edits to this vision statement. So based on, this is the vision, and these are the themes, and based on these themes, we have developed goals and strategies. And if I can open my housing section, I can show you how this would flow. So you have a goal for housing, and then you have a narrative on existing conditions and locations of new developments, statistics, and the need for diverse housing in the town, which is demonstrated in this narrative. And then you go down towards the end, we have what we call relevant housing initiatives that are happening right now and what we heard from the community. This will be its own section where we summarize what we heard from the community for each chapter. And then we have our workshop results, and then we have a goal, and then the objectives. What are the objectives? What are we trying to achieve here? And strategies for each objective. And this all comes from the vision that I have just read a few minutes ago. So this is how we would lay out each chapter. We would have goal, objective, strategies. When we get to the greenways and open space section, we'd have the same layout, and I'll share that chapter when it becomes available. I think we did talk about, we do realize that greenways are not standalone and they have to be integrated into other topics. So I think we did talk about having opportunities for recreation, greenways and trails, even in the housing chapter. I have to find out where we wrote that. I have to find out, but it's somewhere in here. And there will be cross-referencing in most chapters. I think it's in the land use chapter. This is the land use and zoning chapter. Can you see my screen?
Barely.
I'll try to open this up and then share the screen. So in the land use and zoning chapter, we have it says, for instance, objective to encourage a mix of land uses that promote sustainable land uses and practices. I'll zoom this in. So under the sustainable land use practices and healthy lifestyles, we do have a strategy that says expand the town's open space network and promote opportunities to interconnect these open spaces through implementation of greenways and complete streets. Continue to mandate 10% open space requirement in subdivision regulations. And I think the thing we're trying to do is connect these dots. So greenways are not standalone, but you would link with the complete streets and transportation chapter, and also link it with land use chapter. So, no matter where you're targeting a development on which, if it's an individual private development parcel or a public parcel, you have the appropriate strategy in the POCD document. That's all I have to say. I know I spoke a lot, and it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody should recognize there's a huge amount of work that's going on, and a lot of it's falling on Susmitha's shoulder. So we should thank her for all the work she's doing on this. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover, Susmitha?
That's all. I will share the link to the documents. They should be posted online on the POCD webpage after.
Oh, you have to share the draft? Oh, great.
Yeah, no, by this month end, I will share.
Okay.
the whole draft.
So this is going to be critical because we only have 3 weeks in which to make comments on it. So it's a chance to make sure that we're keeping what was in the previous POCD, but everything that you're seeing makes sense.
You will have more than 3 weeks, to be honest. 3 weeks is to finalize the final draft and send it to state agencies for their input. But the official process starts after you start referring to State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and Office of Policy and Management, MetroCall. So they have 65-day review and feedback period. If you need more time, if you review at that time, too, if you let us know, we can make significant changes after we send this document to state agencies, but we'll have some room to make minor changes. And then we
is there room for the Greenway Complete Streets Committee to comment on this in any way?
We can do that in our May meeting, hopefully, in the May 4th week meeting, if we get the draft by then.
So that's what I'm saying is this is really important. This is the real work that we've been waiting basically all year on. So everybody get their head together that they really want to contribute to this, because this is the most critical thing for the next 10 years. So Smith, if there's nothing else under next steps, I would like to bring up what Tom Dillon and myself have begun to work on. I need the committee to say yes if they're interested in doing it. But before I do that, I also need to bring up that Saturday, June the 3rd is the Main Street Festival. Last year we did, probably I think everybody here participated in some kind of way. Last year we did our first bicycle carol or bicycle parking space, and we got Rotary to donate the booth area, and I hope that they'll do the same again. I think it was very successful, and we did the ride afterward, which we had, I think, 28 people going on the ride, and that was very successful. So we're hoping to do the same thing with one big change. The Rotary has asked to move us from where we are on Broad Street. We're on Broad Street to all the way at the north end of Main Street, where directly across from the church, catty corner to the Board of Education property. There's a whole strip there that normally no one goes to. But the good thing about it is it's right where all the police gather. So it actually would be a really good place. And it also will essentially help direct all the bicycle traffic off the road before so we're not going to have as much problem with people riding their bikes through the event itself. It will just, at least for the north side of Stratford, it won't cover the south side. They'll have to walk their bikes through. So I need a quick vote if people are willing to, two things. Are you willing to help? Because every year goes by, I get older. So I can only do this with help. Are you willing to help and spend a good part of the day being a bike parking lot attendant and also speaking up about the Greenway? Can I see a show of hands? So
Yeah, I'm not available that weekend. Otherwise, I would love to do it. But
who is that? Jennifer?
yeah, sorry, I can't do it.
Okay. George?
I'm not able to do it.
Okay. Sarah, you were there last year, Sarah.
I also have my own business and helping with another, with the RTC.
But can you simply come and spend an hour with us?
I might have my booth for my own business.
Oh, okay. All right. Chris, are you doing DTC?
And just to point out that they're going to be starting work on the complete streets in that section too. On that, so
By June 3rd?
I'm not sure about that.
oh, okay. I thought she had said it starts in May.
Yeah, we thought so, but they haven't finalized the selection of the contractor and the paperwork and everything. So let's see how things unfold. Maybe they will start after the Main Street.
If you find out that's the case, will you let me know? Because I need to make sure that the Rotary knows, because that's where they have 300 booths that are going in there.
I
Surprise.
pointed that out last month too. Yeah.
So in any case,
Yeah, Harold, let me know. Yeah, between Rotary and DTC, there's a lot of mixed commitments that day.
I know, I just don't want to end up being myself and my daughter being the only two people there all day long, because I usually direct the bicycle ride at the end. So it's critical that I have someone who can pack stuff up while I go and set up the bike ride.
I'll be there, Harold.
Me
Thank
too. I can be there for part of the time as well, Harold.
Anybody can come as long as I know who it is, and we can. I'll do the same thing we did the last time with a sign up time. So are we going to move forward on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone give me a proposal. Someone give me a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Even those who can't go, Sarah. All
You'll
right.
be just down the street.
So it's basically unanimous, but we only have half of our members saying that they will come and help. So we really have got to, those of you who can't be there, if you know of anybody who might want to come and help, or an organization that might want to come and help, let me know. Okay, now step number 2, and this is Tom and myself. Tom made a connection for me with the Connecticut Rides group. He's trying to set something up for Shakespeare Market, but I spoke with Sarah Roy, who is the new director of Connecticut Rides, and to be honest, Tom and I both did a Zoom with her. She is very interested in bringing the resources of Connecticut DOT to the Main Street Festival. And she has tons of printed material. She has tons of, trinkets to hand out. She has a video that we could show at the library. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that really, and they're very interested. That she's part of Connecticut Rides, which is basically a nonprofit that comes out of the DOT. But almost all of their work has taken place around Hartford. They haven't done any work on the coast, and they're trying desperately. She actually lives in Fairfield. They're trying desperately to end up with events that they can put in their hats, and she's over the moon with the idea of doing something in Stratford. She also has correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, I think it's like 14,000 mailing list of Connecticut bikers and Connecticut bike clubs. So she would be more than willing to send out invites to that whole list of people. God forbid we should even have 1,000 bikes, but that would be a great mailing for what we're doing. And Sarah, particularly if we're getting any closer on complete streets, that really makes it even more of a great thing to have that happen. It's exactly what we've been looking for in Stratford. And right now, Stratford gets a lot of these groups, but we get them very informally. We don't know that they're actually coming to Stratford, but they do postal rides, and they include Stratford on their rides. So, yes, ma'am. Who is that?
Karen. So,
Yeah.
question. So, let's say we get on a mailing and we do a little, promotion or something for a ride or something. Do they pay for that, or do we pay for that? The mailing.
They're willing to pay for it.
Great.
Well, if I send them our map, if I send them the information for Main Street Festival, and at the same time send them a map of the ride that we're sponsoring afterwards, then she will get that to all 14,000 people.
Wonderful.
Which really, really is wonderful.
Yeah.
And guys, you got to thank Tom, because he's the one that set this up.
Sarah reached out to me. She called me.
But I think, am I right, Tom? She really could be a great benefit for what we're trying to do. And
yeah, she's totally genuine. She's local. The CT Rides program is, they've got programs. They want to reach authentic local community partners. And, it looks like it's going to dovetail. A lot of their stuff is still commuter transportation, but they're opening it up to different kind of components. And you know, she appeared to be like a really willing partner, and I think we should.
One of the things she said was, because she's part of the DOT, we could give out passes, a month-long bus pass for anybody who comes to our booth, which means they could put their bike on the bus and go to Fairfield, go to you know, any of the shoreline bike rides that are there via the buses. So that actually is that's a good way of increasing our usage.
Yeah, I think, you know, the other thing that we talked about was, you know, in order to complete streets and the balanced commuter life, you know, really putting we're going to talk to some of the other people involved to really encourage Stratford people to get on the bus in town and just come down to Main Street Festival rather than clogging up another car and getting into a parking nightmare. People could but we don't think of like hopping on the bus for something like that. So that was another communication campaign that she was interested in, because
whether you realize it or not, a part of Complete Streets includes upgrades on all of our bus drop-off points. So,
yeah, so I mean, we have a resource
in line with what we're doing. She also said that she has all of the safety literature for seniors riding bikes and for young kids riding bikes, and they do, you know, or they'll come and do work with organizations like the South End Johnson House and all of those things. So it really would be a great opportunity for us. I just said realistically, I don't want to explode it so it becomes, but she could essentially deliver all the literature that we need for our booth, except for the map. So if we simply have a map, and if we use our existing banners for Complete Streets, she would have all the safety, where to ride, all of those kinds of things. And eventually she could even tie us into the Connecticut Rides website, where we could post our rides on that website, which would make us accessible to all of Connecticut. So I want to do this. We'll scale it depending on what we think is possible, but it means that we also have to make sure we have people there that day, because I don't want it to simply become a Connecticut Rides booth. I want this to be the Stratford Greenway Complete Streets. There is an opportunity that we could also, I spoke with Catherine, the athletic director at Sterling House, and she's very interested in getting a bicycle program at our booth that day, because they do training for young kids in riding bikes. So we could actually build something that's very reflective of Stratford community. I think it would be a good thing to do. And so far, we're talking June 3rd. So we actually are 2 months ahead, which is, last time we had a week's notice when we did the other one. So I'm going to, again, this is something that I need people to participate in. Hopefully we'll get someone from the rec department to help us, and hopefully we'll get someone from Sterling House to help us also. I know all those people are going to be at the event, but hopefully they can come and feed in some time at our booth also. Tom, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
Harold,
Yes, who is he?
Chris Green.
Yep.
One of the things when it comes to dovetailing like the bus riding element in, I think buses were free for a year, but that just ended, right?
That just ended, and this would actually be an extension, a free bus pass extension for anybody coming to our booth, encouraging multimodal transportation.
Cool.
So it is different. So I'm going to ask again if someone will please give me a motion.
You know,
Is the motion,
I support the motion. I support the idea. You know, like I think we should involve CT Rides as much as we can to help cross promote Main Street Festival in the Greenway.
I second, I don't see any disadvantage to it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm waiting for Sarah's hand. Include her in. And Jennifer, I see his, maybe, so, okay, so we're unanimous in this. Because it is taking a little work, and it does put us much more in a representative position of Stratford. We're not just talking about a bike ride or we're talking really about representing Stratford as a multimodal community that people from all over the state can come and ride. So I will move forward. At some point, I'm going to ask someone to help me in terms of organizing. I have the tents, I have the banners, I have all of that. And I'm bringing my daughter in from the Bronx because she thinks it's the best thing in the world. She just thought the idea of Main Street Festival was the perfect small town USA kind of event. So with that said, I don't have anything else. Is there anybody who wants to bring up anything? Yes, Nels.
Yeah, hi, Harold, and also Susmitha, thanks so much for that, the work that you're putting into that plan of Stratford. I was just wondering about, when did you say we could take a look at that draft by so that we could prepare some comments?
So the consultant is out of office next week. She's going to be back on the 17th, and she said she would work the next 2 weeks and get it, provide us a close to final draft by April 28th or May 1st. Okay. So then I can start distributing it to all.
Okay. Yeah, I know that. I mean, I can imagine that a product of that length and integrated text and image, if too many hands get involved with it, you'll be just inundated with comments. But when you were showing it up there, I made a quick note on my notebook here that goal number 1 and goal number 3 also seemed like places where, because they were talking about integration of the built environment and of communities, that the Greenway and complete streets could possibly be mentioned in goal 1 and 3. But now I don't remember what those goals were. but I had a quick jot down there.
Did you mean in the housing chapter or land use chapter?
It was the last part that you showed where there was a series of goals, and it was in the same text where you highlighted the passage that currently mentions Greenway complete streets, which I think was like goal 2 or
okay.
I remember seeing the first goal, which sort of talked about integration. It seemed like it could be there as well. But
and Niles, I hope you understand, it's where we need to do the best job that we can selling the strategic idea of the Greenway.
Right, exactly. So I just wasn't sure if that was, I guess my question is that the kind of comment that we would have time to suggest? Okay.
I think that's the absolutely appropriate, exactly the kind of comment we need to make sure that we fit it in.
Yeah.
It can't be a POCD about the Greenway, but
right.
At the same time, just to keep the document concise and not redundant and repetitive, if we have something about complete streets mentioned at some place under strategies, under land use and zoning, we would not want to keep on repeating that 4 or 5 times under each goal, because we don't want to be redundant. But if you think it really makes sense to have that under that after you read, and you felt like, oh, the other goal doesn't look at this angle. Like, for example, if a Greenway and complete street is viewed at a transportation angle for connectivity, that's a different strategy. But if you're looking at it as a public health benefit angle or more opportunities for recreation angle, then it's a totally different strategy. So you may want to read those and see, would it be redundant or adding to what is already in there?
Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking, was more along the lines of, emphasizing the different components that it fits into, because there's the sort of health, aesthetics, and transportation side of it.
Nels, I'm sure you're aware of this. We're doing this with all the documents in Stratford. We're trying to get rid of the redundancy because some of them are just packed with so much stuff that no one looks at it. you know, a 280-page document is almost impossible to go through. If you can cut that in half, it's still too big a document for it to be.
Well,
useful.
but yeah, and I guess there's also the other side of it, which is just how we use that plan to advocate for the Greenway and complete streets themselves by
I
using
agree.
the document.
I agree.
So.
And that's where we need to look at it. Is this meeting the Greenway Complete Streets Committee's needs for the future in terms of promoting and advocating?
Right.
That's the drum we're going to bang on for a decade.
Which we banged on the drum for the last POCD for a decade. Tom, you've been banging on it longer than I have.
Well, I like that it says the first adjective used to describe us is coastal. That certainly helps.
Yeah, I'll share.
And that represents really our resiliency needs being fed into the POCD in a much stronger format than they were in the current POCD. They're actually trying to integrate that across the board so that we don't have just a chapter on resiliency, so that we actually are integrating it into a lot of our vision statements. So that's all that I have. Although I did buy a new bike. So
Congratulations.
I will see you soon on the road.
Nice, well done.
Do you still have your electric bike?
I still have my electric bike, but I'm Paul Tavares is coming over to see if he can fit on it. So if he doesn't, then I need to find a home for it.
Oh, you're selling it, okay.
Well, no, I'm not necessarily even selling it. I'm negotiable.
Got
If
it.
there's a passionate person who needs an electric bike, I'll work with them. So will someone, I think, unless there's some other comments? Happy
Motion
spring to everybody. I hope you're getting a little bit of riding in. I went riding in Fairfield, and let me tell you, they're spending a lot of effort marking their local streets, nothing more than a sign at every intersection where the road turns, and Shura's, you know, the stripe, not even full stripes, but just bike shears, which are like 3 little stripes, 1 foot long stripes. They're marking all of their, I call them suburban Greenway trails. Remarkable since the last time I rode in that area. Will someone give me a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
I think that sounds great. Looks like it's.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
And
Thanks,
everybody.
Cheryl.
that they-